Okay, welcome to the least prepared for episode we've done. Becky, thank you for
I feel
being
so special.
here on episode 40 with Becky Hale of Highland Residential Mortgage. Okay, let's see what we got from ChatGPT. Today's guest sits right at the crossroads of where the mortgage industry is headed, technology and humanity. We're joined by Becky Hale, SVP of Information Systems at Highlands Residential Mortgage. Becky brings more than 25 years of mortgage experience spanning operations, marketing, training, strategy, and technology, which means she's seen just about every angle of this industry. These days, she's focused on something a lot of lenders are trying to figure out: how to use tools like automation and AI to simplify the mortgage process without losing the human connection that makes the experience work. Becky's passionate about helping teams work smarter, communicate better, and navigate change in an industry that never sits still. Becky, welcome to the show.
What a great intro. Thank you.
How did ChatGPT do?
Did pretty good,
I feel like
actually.
I would just sign off. That was my intro. I just feel like
know.
I'm done here.
Usually I have edits, but that one was pretty solid.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we in the office today?
Yes, that's why I have this fun little janky headset and very exciting background.
Yeah, I like there's some pretty good contrast here. We've got a concrete column, a cool painting, and then one of the books.
Yeah.
Which book is that one?
Oh, that's the one that I wrote a chapter for, Rethink Everything You Know About Mentorship.
All right. When did this one come out?
Yeah, it's already out. It's on Amazon.
When?
You know, Chris has not been on LinkedIn recently.
Apparently not. Yeah, we blew up LinkedIn.
Wow, I'm getting so much flack from so many people about not being active on LinkedIn.
Yeah. No, it's out. And I wrote the chapter on the myth of the perfect mentor. So,
yeah. And what can you give me the elevator pitch on that one? The chapter?
Sure. Yeah. It's basically just, expecting a mentor to, number one, magically appear in your life and or be a specific type of person is really limiting, and being open to random people in your life and in your business career journey actually gives you more of an opportunity to learn from it. It also gives you the opportunity to step into that role for someone else, because if you don't think you could be a mentor, then you're really not giving other people the benefit of your experience. So that was, I probably could have refined that a little bit, but that's basically what
I like
about.
that. I mean, PK stuck with me.
I was going to say, I've had so many people in my life that sometimes I've shown up randomly, sometimes I've sought them out, and it's a good mix of people, and I learn from everybody.
PK says I red pill him.
Yeah, all the time.
By the way, hold on. That's, to be clear, it's the Morpheus reference. Not.
Oh yeah, no, I get it. I'm a big Matrix fan. Although as time goes on and all this AI stuff, keeps getting better and better, I'm like, we're about to become batteries. So
yeah, we're about to be sentient programs.
Before we get to that, the Black Mirror episode where we're all running on treadmills to charge our AI. You seen that Black Mirror episode?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love Black Mirror.
I had to stop watching it though. It just made me feel so icky.
Because they're realistic. It's not realistic, but it's so realistic. It's
yes,
very and in this dystopian world this could happen, and then you're just like, whoa, that actually seems like it could actually happen.
Yeah.
So one of the questions we always like to start with is, how did you get involved in the mafia that is mortgage? Because once you're in, you can't get out, but nobody says they want to grow up and be a mortgage person.
Yeah. So I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this out loud and on a recorded podcast, but I was out drinking with my sister and her friends, and we were at a bar in Addison, and some, I'm not going to say who was with us, but there were some people in mortgage that were just like, oh my gosh, you should quit your job. You should come work with us, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. So I was like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And so the next day I went in and gave my 2 weeks notice. And then 2 weeks later I started a mortgage, and I've been in it ever since. But it's because I went out with those crazy girls, and they sold me a bill of goods. And so basically I was drunk at a bar with friends, and that's
they were. What was the bar?
It was Memphis.
Okay.
The jazz bar.
Okay, I don't know it, but
are they still in the industry though?
Am I still in the industry
No,
or they?
they.
Two of them are. My sister is
Okay.
not. She's a teacher now. She figured out a loophole is that you have kids and then you go into the education system. I didn't know that was a thing you could do. So
It reminds me of Becky's version of like the mortgage industry, but it's like the diet version of Wolf of Wall Street. He's like, you tell me, show me a pay stub and I'll come work for you now. Like,
that's great.
and then so what, did you start at Highlands or what pulled you into Highlands?
No, this is so because it was a hot minute ago. I started out at a company that is not around anymore, BSM Financial, and they had both a wholesale and a retail channel. And I worked on the retail side. Originally, I was a receptionist. I did that for a few weeks, and then I became a loan officer assistant for their manufactured home division. And then I became a closer, and I was a closer and a closing manager for a long time. I even worked at Supreme Lending.
Okay.
Yeah, and then whenever you're in some of those roles, you kind of rotate companies a little bit. So I landed at Prime Lending for a while, worked in IT and in their training department. And I also worked for Caliber Home Loans. I ran their retail training team. Small company called First United Mortgage, worked there. They were great. And then Josh, our CIO, recruited me to come over. And June will be 10 years I've been here.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good tenure.
Yeah.
Especially working for Josh. I hope he watches this now. We gotta, I know Josh, by the way, PK.
Yes. He told me to tell you hi. We went to lunch today, so.
I love it. Oh, so that's who you were at lunch with.
Yeah.
So diving into like we're gonna skip steps. We already jumped into the AI thing. We're just gonna say it now because you said it first. Okay, I didn't. All right. Okay. So what do you see from a peer perspective, right? So this is someone in the mortgage industry, PK. So we're not looking at it from a vendor perspective. Where do you see other lenders, yourself? Like, what's the vibe amongst lenders with AI?
So I think everybody wants to be further along than they are. They assume that other people are light years ahead when they really aren't.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping you would say.
Yeah. And in all honesty, I think, you have a couple of different camps, right? You have the people who are diving, headfirst into we're going to automate all the things and we're going to go straight to the AI underwriter stuff. We're going to replace people and all this kind of stuff. And then you have other people who are more baby stepping it, crawl, walk, running it, and looking for actual solutions to the problems they can identify today. That's really more of where we're in the camp because we don't want to overbuy something. And like another thing where everybody is very cognizant of is agreement terms. Like you're going to try and get me in a 3-year agreement. That's not happening. Like we can see how quickly this stuff is changing. So I think everybody's trying to kick the tires and gauge where everybody else is. And it's been kind of nice though, because for the most part, people are not gatekeeping that much. We're telling the experiences that we're having and we're being pretty frank and honest about it. So I think that that's been good, but I think most people just have an unrealistic expectation of where some people are. And in reality, we're all just trying to make it work. I mean, our industry is so highly regulated and it's so human centric that you can't just replace that overnight. So
well,
I don't know if that totally answered your question, but
no, it totally, like, it reaffirms what we tend to think is that every lender thinks that they're behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
And the fact that you said there's no gatekeeping means that they really are nobody is ahead, because from a vendor perspective, I don't know if you've had this yet, PK, but I've had literally lenders be like, all right, how much to promise me you won't sell this to anybody else in the state of California? And it's like, what? Like, what can I do to make it so you won't sell this to anybody in the state of Texas? Like, what?
Yeah.
People do ask us for like a lot of hyper custom stuff, and we're like, hey, like, we're not your engineering team.
Oh no, I've had can we white label this, and can you promise me not to sell it to anybody else in my state?
Be like, yeah, you're going to pay me this much money because I can't make profit otherwise.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what are you doing day to day at Highlands? other than being bugged by Josh. I'm just going to pick on him this whole podcast.
So my team is something.
We lost your
We
audio.
Your audio may have
Hello.
your mic.
Am I back? Default. Oh, it kicked me off entirely.
Sort of.
There we go.
I
Okay.
think we're there.
I think it kicked me off. My stupid Teams thing, even though I have it on Do Not Disturb, it knocked my headset off. That's really weird.
All good.
Sorry about that. So what do I do every day? So at Highlands, our IT is kind of broken up into like lights on tech, network infrastructure, laptops, all that fun stuff, and then business systems. And my team is specifically responsible for business systems. Our LOS, POS, any of the adjacent integrations, process support, all that kind of stuff. So that's what my team does. And then any kind of new initiatives around technology being implemented alongside that or in that.
PK, ask what you're gonna
ask. I was gonna say, in terms of, there's a lot of money being invested into through VC to invest into software companies that are building all kinds of solutions across the supply chain of mortgage. Just high level, I guess, where are you bullish, and then where are you more skeptical?
I'm very much a skeptic. I think Chris will probably tell you I'm one of the most cynical. I got a BS meter that's just kind of I want to be optimistic about things, but I also have to, because my team is responsible for the support of these things, and we are very origination focused, we're very production focused. I have to think about their experience and how that's going to impact our ability to bring in loans. So in terms of what technology, I think what I'm excited about is not the sexy stuff. Right, it's the stuff that's going to reduce errors, and it's gonna reduce some of those manual things. I'm less leaning into the I think some of the voice AI stuff is cool, but I have a lot of reservations and concerns about that from a consumer perspective, but then also just from an adoption perspective internally, right? And then automating a lot of these roles, just because there's a lot of unknowns. I get kind of itchy about it. So I still very much want human in the loop on most of these things. So I want them to surface, errors and anomalies and things that could trip us up and maybe run some things for us, but somebody's got to check it before it gets moved on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and actually just double click on that one. So you mentioned
San Francisco.
So you mentioned the skepticism side, and I think just being on the vendor side, we've seen this, and I think I've heard that from other founders in the space. Sometimes there's skepticism from the other person. To jump on to put myself in your shoes, where does that skepticism come from? Is it because you've been burned in the past with technology vendors promising the world, and then saying, oh, actually we can't deliver on that, or help us understand, for someone who may be a vendor watching this,
sure.
Where does that skepticism come from? So it doesn't seem like it's a personal thing, or it's it's you can actually understand where the other person's coming from.
Oh, absolutely. So you kind of hit the nail on the head there, because I've learned a lot of lessons through vendor selection, implementations, getting burned, so to speak.
Sure.
But a lot of times we're sold a package of things that include roadmap items that are not necessarily slated for development and or have been prioritized. So we buy it thinking we're going to get something, and then 6 months,
Sure.
9 months, a year, 2 years later, we still don't have it.
Yeah.
Or we get a custom solution built and they decide they're not going to maintain it anymore. Those are challenges. So,
sure.
Not all of our vendors are like that. Obviously, Mace is a fantastic vendor and partner of ours. Love him very much. But that's a real risk. So whenever I walk in, I probably am harder on vendors than a lot of clients. And I know that, but
sure,
it's because I have to protect my people,
And then
Yeah,
what are the
I
vendors
like to
that
say that I have to deal with a lot of the exes. My ex,
X's
like
mistakes?
I'm not the ex. Like
Yeah.
that was them, not me.
It wasn't me.
So when you do work with vendors, I guess like what are your green flags like on in how they operate and like navigate the process? Like I'm sure like typically I imagine it being like everybody's really invested, but as soon as the dotted line the signs the docs are all signed, maybe like the engagement falls off. They're like, okay, we got it
Sure.
across, and then maybe it's just like, all right, let's just slug through implementation and get on the other side, and whatever else comes on the other side. Like if they ask for this feature or that feature, we'll just tell them,
Yeah.
hey, it's on the roadmap, and then so like what have you seen as like successful, I guess, like practices or best practices from the vendor side that you're like, oh, I actually enjoy working with this vendor. This is a fruitful partnership and relationship.
Yeah.
I wish all my vendors were like this. What does that look like?
It's yeah. I mean,
shave my head. I got to
model.
shave my head first.
There you go. Honestly, just be honest, just be transparent. Like if you don't have something, just tell me you don't have it. And, if it's not on your roadmap, just tell me that, if it's something that you can't necessarily solve for in a current iteration, but maybe there's a different way to do it, then just tell me that. I just don't like it whenever people are hard selling me all the time. Because I'm like, just tell me what you have. If it's what will fit, that's great. Otherwise, if I sign an agreement and we get into it and I don't like it,
yeah,
you're certainly not going to get the video testimonial that you put in our agreement from me. And if you do get it, you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
I would love to see what Savage did. You signed an agreement, you're going to do a video testimonial and just watch you just get on a recording and be like, start just shitting all over it.
Since you asked.
Becky's like, little do you know that happened. It's just not out there. So that being said, Becky, if you just had like, all right, you're standing in a room full of vendors and you just want to say, maybe you already just did it, but like if you could just tell vendors one thing, like what would you say? Like, hey.
I mean, yeah, it's just be transparent with us about what's going on. I probably came to you because I knew that 60% of what you were selling me is probably actually baked and 40% of it isn't. But if it's flipped and only 40% is baked and 60% is out there in the ether somewhere, I'm really not going to be happy about that. Just shoot straight. And I think we're going to be fine.
It makes me sad that 40% BS is baked into the, priced in, if you will, to your purchase.
Dude, I'm telling you, you have to walk into these discussions and like, like I said, I've learned a lot about, going through all these demos and they seem amazing and you're so excited and you have to ask like all these questions and it's on you as the client, because if you don't outline it or if you don't call it out or if you don't, set an expectation, then I mean, it's on you. So I take that role very seriously.
Do you see go for it, Chris.
No, PK, I want to hear you.
No, I was just gonna say, like, do you see? And this might be harder in some product spaces than others.
Sure.
Like, you can't really demo a LOS for a couple months or a couple weeks or whatever. But like, do you see vendors being able to give you like a demo account or a sandbox where you can actually go in and play? Or do you typically see vendors shy away from doing something like that?
That is changing. Used to, you couldn't kick the tires on things. Not really. You could get like a demo account that they've pretty much sanitized and is as stripped down as possible. And the things that you really care about aren't really like tied into it. But more and more, especially with some of these tools that we've been testing out lately, they're like, yeah, you can try it. You can kick the tires for 60 days. And if it doesn't work, we have it built into the thing. You've got an out, right? Yeah. Which is great. Now, I will say this. If you say I can kick the tires and you can't get my team, like my users in there to work in the demo account, I'm done. And that has happened too. Or they're like, we're going to get you set up and this is going to be great. And then you go for like 4 weeks of trying to get into the system. And you're like, this is like before we sign an agreement, man. So
that's interesting. I'm struggling to understand why that might be the case. Like if there's 10 users that need to be added.
Yeah, I am also struggling to understand how that happened, but it did.
That's
Some people
fascinating.
suck. And that's why we have to deal with PK.
Yeah.
Is that
So the skepticism comes from a healthy place.
It does, and I used to be like rose-colored glasses, like, oh, these vendors are going to be great. They're going to be good partners, and we're going to be like the best of friends. We're going to meet up at conferences. And
oh, they're fiery red now, huh?
Yeah. So I'm learning as a person. I'm growing.
Chris, you were going to ask something.
No, I was going to ask about, like, do you feel like how much of your job would you say the issue is more change management and picking what to put energy in versus tech? So, like, for instance, like I've had situations where I've been called a liar at the results of my previous mortgage company, right? Like I do 8 files a day, one closer for 150 loans. They're like, no way, you're lying, but then they're just like, oh, we just don't have the time or money or time or energy. It feels like there's a BS factor, an energy factor, a change management factor. Like, tell me, how much of it is just change management and juggling time?
I would say that's the lion's share of it, honestly. I mean, because there's so much involved with that. Number one, you have to, first of all, once I get past the point of actually believing a vendor, then I have to sell that to somebody else. Like, we all have to agree on it, right? Not just like our executives, which, they're very forward thinking and all that kind of stuff, but we also have to convince usually key producers in our company if it's anything that's going to impact their role. I think that's a really good stopgap. Like, I think that that's a really good protection point, but we have to go through all these layers of convincing each other that it's a good idea, right, for the company, because we don't want to make these decisions in isolation and impose some kind of technology that's going to change the world. Turns out it busts everybody's branch level processes, right? Like, we don't want to do that. So getting through that and then reselling it upon implementation and getting, user adoption and being able to demonstrate ROI, that's so fun, right? So yeah, that's a lot of it.
So when you do all that in selling internally, so like the vendor has to sell you on it. Once they got you bought in, now you've got to go around and go sell it internally within your company. You got to convince the production person, you got to convince the compliance person, et cetera, et cetera. When you do that, do you find yourself where the vendor is actually supporting you in that process and actually providing you with resources and I don't know, like a one pager or like a slide deck that you can go share with individual groups, like one specifically crafted for the compliance person because they maybe workshop with you like what that person cares for, et cetera. Do you find vendors doing that, or do you find yourself having to do all that work yourself to actually, like, on behalf of the vendor? So I feel like if you do, then there's like a higher level of, it just makes the sale harder from the vendors, or in my opinion, I would imagine, for the vendor to actually get it, because now you have to do all the work.
Yeah, I'll say that has also evolved over time, and it's definitely gotten better. They're preparing ROI calculators and one sheets, like you said, that are audience specific to production or compliance or, what have you. But it's still, I have to have a good working understanding of how this product is going to provide value for my company. And if I don't, I'm not going to be able to make that sale. So I have to become the expert on it, so to speak. So the one pagers are helpful for like just putting something in front of somebody, but initially, I still have to speak confidently to it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that in a lot of like sales stuff, like SaaS sales playbooks and stuff like that, to be able to like work with your quote unquote champion and help them kind of sell internally. And then you touched on the aspects of like, ultimately it's your reputation on the line, your team's reputation on the line. And all of you guys are putting it on the line at the branch level, at the company level, internally. And so it's a lot of social capital being exercised there as well. So how do you actually protect Becky and her team and set them up for success internally as well? So that's cool to see it from your perspective, or hear it from your perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have we had a lender on yet?
No, this is fun. I'm actually, this is actually a lot of fun. Like, you know,
Oh.
getting the lender's perspective.
Yeah, PK's doing his own research right now. He's like, he's asking the questions like, "What should I do?"
So
So,
some of this, I'm like, some of this we do, some of this areas definitely we can improve for sure.
Sure.
what do
I
you
mean,
think?
it's
Go-
constantly a learning thing, right? Like as I learn, you know, how to select a good vendor, you know, vendors are also learning because I will give, you know, feedback. I give feedback and I do it, you know, with the hopes that maybe they won't put me through the same torture, like they won't put the next person through the same torture I went through, or maybe it just to help improve our relationship as we go forward. But,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's where a really good partnership comes in hand, you know, being able to share those things in a relatively unfiltered, transparent, honest way
Yeah.
for the greater benefit.
I mean, it's mortgages high school, right? Like you're talking to someone at company A, and then next thing you know, you're at the conference and like, oh, I'm over at this one now. You want to see this solution? And it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's harder? Onboarding new tech or getting people to abandon or stop doing old stuff? You know?
Oh, that's a good one.
Like they're stuck
they kind of
in
go
their
hand in hand,
ways.
right? So, yeah, breaking somebody of a habit is really, really hard. And you kind of have to weigh, like, what's the risk versus reward here? Like, is it worth me badgering this person over this? Ultimately, is it an actual compliance risk? Is it an actual financial risk? You know, whatever. And then if you have to say yes, then, you know, you got to hold them accountable, you know. And luckily, to a great degree, IT is not that person. I will say, I love that I am not the enforcer of those things. I can surface things, but I don't have to necessarily enforce them. So that's a little, yeah. But from like an implementation perspective, you know, if people are having to change their processes, like some of the stuff that we're looking at right now, front end processes are going to be impacted pretty significantly. You know, we're talking about like document indexing and validation and scraping and stuff like that. So they're not used to having that, and they've got to develop trust in it, and then they have to lift and shift responsibilities. Like, okay, well, if I'm not doing this anymore, you know, where does it fall in the process? And so it's just paying attention to those things and helping them along as they go, offering best practices.
So what area is the most resistant to change, and why is it underwriters?
That's funny, because I was going to say loan officers. No, I'm just kidding. I do love me some loan officers, and I gave them a hard time. I moderated the AI panel at the DMBA luncheon. I guess it was last week. Wow. I kind of went hard at the loan officers, but you know, it's funny. I think everybody's resistant to change. When you figure out how to be effective at your job and you have a process flow, unless you're just naturally curious and you like to poke the bear, you don't want to mess it up, you know? And I'm one of those people where I'm constantly trying to change and evolve how I do things because I can't do them the same way I did them a year ago. Things are moving too fast. So
yeah,
I think it's just natural human nature, you know, to not want to have to change.
I think this might be a good spot to drop our last week's guest question.
Which this will be the first time I've seen this.
Yeah, Becky had no prep at all. Usually this is they only get one question prep.
And yeah, it's an easy one. I think she can handle it. So
it doesn't have to do with like quantum physics or anything.
It's from Mike Ferrasi. Do you know Mike Ferrasi, Becky?
Not personally, but I've seen him on the interwebs.
Amazing.
I bet he would like to hear that. That means he's doing his job.
In quantum physics, I'm just kidding. So he asked, how would she advise a young mortgage bank to handle a new product adoption? So like, what's the best policies and procedures for handling? I think you touched on a little bit, but maybe you can kind of add in a little bit more color here.
And when we say new product adoption, I'm assuming we're talking about an actual technology implementation, not a loan product.
I would take it that way, yeah.
Okay. Well, so number one, obviously vet the hell out of the vendor. and make sure that it's solving a problem you actually have, or you at least know why you are implementing it. That sounds so boring, but a lot of people go into stuff and they sign agreements and they really don't know why they're doing it. They don't really have a clear metric for success. And if you can do that up front, that's like number one. And then number two, I would say, having a good team behind you to make sure that the technology implementation actually goes smoothly. I'm very lucky that my Encompass and tech team are really, really good. So I can rely on them for looking for those roadblocks and obstacles that, we have customization for this, or this is going to cause a problem. Let's get ahead of it. Having those people around you is really, really important. And then next, my training background is going to speak to this, but make as much resource available to people as possible. I'm a big fan of live training. I like having people on the phone. I like having people get their hands on the system as much as possible. Adult learners, you have to tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them again, and make sure that they're actually doing the thing. I mean, that's just part of how our brains work as we're adults. We learn better by doing. So, that's my biggest thing. And then, of course, follow-ups, making sure that you're still training and or communicating on it, and then actually looking to make sure that people are using it. And if they're not, why? And then addressing those problems head on and not just letting them boil over, because that's never fun at a committee meeting. What happened?
So on the training piece,
I just wanted to highlight one thing she said that I loved. Define your metric for success.
Yeah, that was definitely.
Well, she said really a lot of great things, but that was.
Yeah, I think what Becky's talking about there is from just a basic understanding of before you sign some document for some new flashy tech, it's what problem is this solving, and do we already have tech that solves that problem? Or do we need to buy this in the first place? Chris, I think you and I have chatted about how lenders end up signing multiple contracts for flashy things that they don't really need. So I'm guessing that's what you're tackling there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's you go through this process of you're like, this is a problem we have. Let's start looking for vendors who could potentially meet that need. And then they start selling you on other things. I still have vendors who are I know you say your problem is this, but we can revolutionize this. And I'm like, that is not what I'm worried about. That is not what I'm worried about. So it's really easy to get pulled into that, especially when they start throwing, data, and here's all the money you can save, and here's all the stuff. And I'm like, well, my problem is not our underwriting turn times right now. Honestly, we have really great underwriters who turn shit fast. Stuff. Can we believe that? This is live, isn't it?
No, we literally have shit in the podcast. So.
That's true. Can you get that from Liz?
No, this I've had this sign for years, but no, I do have a Liz sticker in my backpack.
I've got her business card up on my desk, so she's so fun.
I
think that
finish your thought. I had another question to follow up. You mentioned the training component. Thank you for highlighting the telling the adults multiple times angle there. What's been your experience with doing recordings and then sharing that with the your team or even help docs? We've tried both, and
nobody's gonna read.
No one reads and nobody watches. You have to do a live Zoom call and be hey, and make it mandatory that they have to at least attend one of the multiple sessions. And then eventually, everybody's watched it at least once or been there, been able to ask questions, and then they're good. And then the other thing we're thinking about is even hosting office hours or something like that. That way, if they have additional questions or we release new features, be able to showcase how it all works rather than just expecting them to figure it out. Because sometimes we come across users that are using the feature the wrong way, and we're like, oh, how did you end up using it like that?
Not how that was intended to work.
Yeah, and or they're creating all these workarounds. We're you don't need to do that. You just press this one button, and so we found it helpful. We recently started the last couple months where we do once a month check in with all of our clients, and we say, hey, what's working, what's not working, and what are the things you need. And then we try to slot in if there's sometimes they're the best source for great ideas, and they brought so many great ideas to us. They're oh, we know if we build that, it's going to solve this other problem over here for all our other customers. And they're in there day in, day out. So it's who better to ask for feedback than those people?
Yeah.
the power
I love that
users.
you bring that up, because we get a lot of our best ideas from our end users, our field users, right? Like they
Yeah.
explain the problem that they're having, and they have an idea in their head of what the end result should be like, or like how, like what they want to happen, but they don't know how to make that happen. And that's where having the team that understands how the systems work and how they could work together
Right.
could ideate and come up with something that's actually going to solve the problem. I think that that's really, really important. But you're right. Nobody's going to read. Nobody's going to watch that video. And the thing that I hate most, and that, like, I told my team handles application support for our LOS and POS and all that stuff, right? I would be so mad as an end user if I reached out with a question and I just got a link back to a help desk article. And I try to tell them all the time, like, don't send them a link. Like, if you can call them, hop on a Teams call, whatever.
Yeah.
If it's like a training thing, we do have partners in our national production support team who handle a lot of that. But I'm like, if they're buried and this person needs help, get on the phone. Like, don't just send them a video. Because if somebody did that to me, I would bristle. I would be like, just show me. Just show
That's
me.
fair.
Send them an LMGTFY link. Do you know what that is?
Let me Google that for you.
Yeah. So I used to like people that has something that's, so if you, it'll like literally like type, it shows them Googling like what the question was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting, Becky, to send out a video to the company and then make it like 2 minutes long. And then just like the last 10 seconds, be like, if you made it this far, there's a $10,000 pot. Don't tell anybody that you made it this far about this. The less people that say or reply with the word, abracadabra, we're going to split the pot. And then like, watch, nobody gets the pot.
I used to do that like with little Easter eggs and training documents. And if people found them, they like got a shout out in the newsletter, or they got like a prize or something. But that took a lot of work too. So
I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Coinbase CEO, he did this with his quarterly announcements. Typically, those quarterly announcements are just kind of like, somebody reading off a PowerPoint deck or whatever. And so he did this thing where, I don't know if you guys have seen on TikTok or like Instagram, like there's like a video playing on the first half, and then on the second half, it's like someone playing a video game. And then you're just kind of like enticed to watch or listen to the content and actually watch the content, because you're like actually interested in seeing what happens with the guy at the bottom. And so he did this for his quarterly earnings, and like he noticed that there was a bunch of people who ended up like actually watching it, just because there's like, from the attention span perspective, like there's other interactive things that's happening.
It's sensory engagement. It's like you can listen to someone talk, but if you ever seen one where they have a whiteboard and they start drawing while they're doing it, and you're just like,
exactly.
Like, this is amazing. I'm listening to everything he's saying, but it's like people like me who pace, like there's markings on this carpet in this room from when I'm on the phone. Like I have to have another sense engaged.
That's a real thing. That's why, trainers, especially with adults, we usually have like fidget toys, in the room, because it helps you actually focus to be able to move that energy somewhere else.
So shout out to Jody
Sims,
my boyfriend. How important is an LOS admin?
How important is an LOS admin? I mean, for a retail mortgage lender, it's extremely critical, obviously. Because
he didn't pay me to ask this, by the way.
He did?
He did not.
He did not. Okay. I mean, like I said, you got to have somebody who knows what they're doing, and they can hear what's happening and be able to translate that into, this is what the system can and can't do, and this is what we should look at instead. I mean, it's almost like having your own like in-house consultant, so to speak. I know that sounds terrible, but knowing what they're doing and what we need to have done, how it actually works in the system. I mean, like I said, we have a really, really great team, so I'm very, very fortunate, and Jody is definitely one of the rock stars on that team.
And shout out to Donna too. I'm gonna get in trouble if I don't. So
yeah, I know. I was about to say Donna Davis. She's gonna start a fight. No, I'm just kidding. She's great.
Becky, go ahead. I'm just gonna ask her about personal AI stuff. I was gonna say, what are the personal AI tools that you've been playing around with the last couple of months, and like where are you finding yourself spending more and more time?
Yeah. So it's funny. I use ChatGPT and Claude primarily. Those are for personal reasons. At work, I use Copilot whenever I have to do Microsoft stuff. I've got ChatGPT and Claude, and I use Gamma a lot for like presentation generation.
Nice.
I love being able to just prompt it and let it come up with something and then start to manipulate it. I think it's a really useful tool. I really want to play around with the Claude Cowork stuff, but I haven't done too. Yeah, and I can't do it at work for a couple of reasons. But number one, it's not supported in the Microsoft environment yet, and we're a Microsoft shop. Because I have some real like interesting use cases I would like to try out. But I'm definitely trying to play around with it at home on my Mac. I'm very fortunate. My husband is really getting into it as well. He spends a lot of time in Notion, and so we're always bouncing ideas about how we can automate things. Like we travel a lot, so we're always wrapping AI tools around our travel agendas and planning for things. So
nice. They have Claude has a Excel plugin, which is fantastic, and so I used that a couple weeks ago to do some work, and I was like, oh, this just like instead of me having to like go to Claude to figure out what the right formula is and all this other stuff, I just talk to it and it just gives me all the things I need, so formats in the right way, and I can do whatever I need to do with it. Same thing with PowerPoint. I don't think I've played with the PowerPoint one, but the Excel one is fantastic.
How bad Copilot is.
Oh, I know. I expected, and they have those stupid ads during the Super Bowl about how awesome Copilot is. I'm like, doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. That looks great. It doesn't work because I tried. I tried all that.
Yeah, Claude killed the Super Bowl commercials.
Oh yeah.
Anthropic.
Yeah, like Copilot, bless their little hearts. I mean, it's getting better.
Bless their little hearts.
But
she's from Texas, y'all. She's from Texas, y'all.
Yes, I am.
Somebody else said "bless your heart." I forget who it was.
I don't think that was the first time PK learned that it was an insult.
He was like, what? I mean, it can also be, a gentle.
No, it's not. No. Come on, if Becky said "bless your heart," it
was Melissa Langdale.
Oh yeah, she's in Austin, in the Austin area. So I love Melissa. She's great.
She is. I think Microsoft just released their version of Cowork, I think yesterday or a couple days ago. So interesting to see how that might play out. And because at that point, like they have this kind of like really interesting model where like since they're already embedded inside all these companies, they can release things and they don't have to go through like a brand new vendor process, like whereas with Claude or some of these other tools you might actually have to go through. So
where that's interesting. I'm in like the model selector for Copilot, and it actually says Claude Sonnet now. It used to only say OpenAI GPT. So that's new. But you said they have a version for Cowork. Is that in their
they just
section?
Released it March 9th. Here, I'll drop it in the chat for the private chat.
Because I'll poke around with that. Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
And also, I don't know if you guys are a Microsoft shop, but Google also released their own version of Cowork. And so if you're a Google shop, there is tools from Google for automating a bunch of like email stuff, calendar stuff, and a whole bunch of other series of things. So it's very exciting times.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I didn't even mention Jim and I were using that because our house is very much a Google house. And we both got Pixels. We got the Google stuff everywhere. We yell at Google.
I've heard those phones are great.
Yeah.
Oh, I love seeing my daughter is grown up with Hey Google. Like it's so weird. Like she's grown up around that, and Gemini for home can be pretty annoying. I mean, you can't undo the upgrade. I don't know if you've already done it, but
no, we didn't toggle it on but on my phone I have it, and it's just
it's getting better.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how these guys make it in the next few years. Microsoft and Google have other revenue sources.
Yeah.
Anthropic and OpenAI are just
all in.
They're dying every day. They're just pouring money out. And as soon as one of them right size their costs, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Because right now we're getting AI super cheap.
No.
Yeah. Becky, have you played around with Claude Code yet?
No, and mainly because I I know this sounds really dumb, but like I don't know what my personal use case would be for messing around with Claude Code. I did the MBA AI training with Tila Matthias Gallagher, Phoenix Outcomes. They hosted this with the MBA, and we used Replit to do some coding stuff, which was really interesting. But again, I'm just like, I still need somebody smarter than me in code to like smoke test this and to go through and make sure that like this is actually going to work the way I expect it to, because it looks cool. Like I came up with this really nice dashboard that had buttons and stuff, but I'm like, I still need those buttons to do the things that they say they're going to do, so yeah, I'm really good at like wireframing all day and making pretty things, but I still need it to work.
So here's my shameless plug, Becky. You already saw a little bit of a preview of this, but we have an internal product called Fabric, which the idea is to let people do their vibe coding, and then we have libraries that will connect to OB and Compass, do all the things that will help you make that button do what you want. So enable people to make their own software, and or I told PK, I think the other day, I was like, nobody should buy software that they can't just customize themselves that day. So everything we do from here on out will be like, hey, Becky, here's your thing. And then like, you can also be able to talk to it and change it yourself. That's our goal for anything we do anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's so much opportunity there. I worry about, like you said, to me, it's that gap of not knowing how to make the things work and or how to troubleshoot it if it goes awry. So.
Right from the voice of the customer, Chris.
Yeah. So contact Mace Innovations.
You have like a little button. It's like apply here, subscribe here.
It's an infomercial.
But I mean, it's a really good use case because I think a lot of people have an idea of how they want it to work and what they want it to look like. Yeah. But they just can't get over that hump.
It's been fascinating watching the amount of chat that our clients are doing, because we see everything they're doing, right? And the changes they're making. And I just love the concept when the company's like, well, I could vibe code that in 2 days. And I'm like, go for it, dude. And then we give them the platform and you see how much longer it takes than what they thought. Like, and like the way they chat and like watching them start to argue with the AI and getting frustrated, because we just build on top of Codex or Claude Code and Codex. Like, we're not building our own platform, but it is funny. Like when you start seeing the, their process is not as smooth as they thought.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like, I was at one of the AI summits here in Dallas, not this past year, the year before, I think. And one of the guys was like, oh yeah, we built this thing in 2 days or something like that, like all of it in 2 days. I'm like, yeah, but you also had 12 engineers that were working with the AI to build this. It wasn't just a guy sitting at his computer, drinking Ghost energy drinks and pulling us. That's not what was happening. It's like, y'all are not selling the full picture of how, because it's still complicated. Like, you have to know how to prompt it. You still have to know what the end result should be. So,
Ghost taking shots there. That's like Evan's like favorite energy drink.
Is it really?
Yeah, he's got a ghost vice. That's fascinating.
Evan is his co-founder, by the way. So that's why.
Yeah. I mean, I think that when I saw what Chris and his team put together, and Chris and Sean put together, it's like super fascinating. I think what you just explained is like most companies don't have this 12-person team. So how do you get them to, and they're usually not technical enough to like go and like wire everything up themselves. So it's like, how do you give value to them? And there's a lot of that in our industry, and that's okay. And like, there's still that segment of the market that still needs help. And so bullish on Chris, and Chris is a horrible marketer. And
my God. I'm on my Mac, so I have the text pulled up. Here it is, Wednesday, February 25th. You guys are on the fucking frontier of software development. Sean, in the next text, Sean just walked me through the stuff you guys have done. Fucking nuts. I was like, maybe I don't do a good job of bragging about ourselves. His response, you do a terrible job. Underselling. Brag more. Nuts, man. I don't know people in San Francisco that operate in the level you guys do. I was like, so apparently we do suck at marketing ourselves. It's my fault. Becky's just nodding her head. I'm going to take that with love.
Nothing but love. Nothing but love.
Okay, so I love that we talked about now that we got that, I love that we have our first lender again. Hell yeah. I'm so glad it's you. And
Yeah.
you're preaching to the vendors out here. What is the biggest, like, what is the number one cause of failure after launch or signing the dotted line?
The number one failure is not having a good picture of what you're trying to solve for in the first place.
Okay, so the problem's there before you literally, it's so important. You gotta know the metric for success and the problem.
Yeah, I mean, because if you launch something and everybody thinks you're solving X and you're actually solving Y, and you launch it, people are going to be like, the hell are we doing? Like, why are we even doing this? Like, this doesn't help me. No, you have to be able to tell them what you're going to tell. Like, this is what we're going to do, and this is why we're doing it. That why is so important. And if you lose it before you sign that agreement, or if you don't even have it defined.
And then what do you do when, I think one thing we've come across is, and maybe this is our fault, but sometimes you go into like a sales cycle, let's say, and then you get across the signed dotted lines and everything like that, and you have everybody engaged, you have weekly meetings, etc. And then someone out of nowhere shows up and they're like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, and they start asking a lot of, maybe they're not technical enough to understand, and they assume that, like, maybe they're a little skeptical, and they assume that you aren't solving the problem that you're solving, but you've spent weeks and weeks, working with the team to make sure that you're headed in the right direction. And then it kind of just throws a wrench into the mix, and then now you got to, like, essentially resell to this person and get them caught up to speed. Is there things that, like, vendors can do up front to kind of spot for those kind of situations, or empower their champions to actually, like, help spot for those individuals that might get looped into the fold?
Yeah, that's
as
hard.
Yeah,
because that's very much a client culture thing. And see, I'm a big fan of, I want to tell everybody what we're doing, why we're doing it, and let them know, even if their role is not going to be touched by it. Like, I want them to know what's happening and what the impact will be. Not all companies work that way. And not all teams work that way. A lot of people are very focused on, this is the problem that my team is having today, and I'm going to solve it using this solution with this vendor. And it could be amazing for that one problem. But if they are not working with other departments, and there is not somebody looking at the arc of the process and how this could potentially, spur other issues throughout the organization. I mean, it could be a compliance thing, but you never know. It could impact accounting. You don't know. I mean, depending on what the thing is, if that transparency is not happening within the team that is trying to implement it, you're just going to have to fight. I mean, you're going to have to keep reselling. That's something that the client should be doing internally, but I wish I had a magic wand for you, but that's just the truth of the matter. If the teams aren't being transparent with each other and keeping each other up to date, that's going to be
what has Highlands done, and then what have you done internally to break down those silos? Because I think most mortgage companies, it's like one of the biggest things I've noticed is that there's all these silos and nobody talks to each other. It sounds like you've been able to circumvent that issue or find a way around it. And so what has worked for you guys culturally, and then practically, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
examples, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that I'm always the best at it or that we don't miss it sometimes. I mean, just reality, right? Humans. But, we have a shared project management system. We have regular pull-up meetings, and, we try to keep each other apprised of what's going on as much as we can. It's not sexy or exciting. It's not like we have a dashboard with all of the strategic initiatives. I mean, but most of those conversations are being had, and I think we're pretty lucky in that most of the departments here do want to collaborate and make sure that no one's going to be caught off guard.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm guessing some of that comes from top down as well, from the executive, the CEO, CIO, et cetera.
Yeah.
That is fostered, and it's not just a Becky thing.
Yeah. I will say, there's a little bit of dancing you have to do to a certain degree, especially whenever you're looking at technology and you haven't signed an agreement, you don't have a kickoff date. Like, you want to get people excited about it. You want them to know what you're working on. But also, especially with like loan officers, it's like if you mention something, they're expecting it in 2 weeks. So there's a little bit of like expectation management that you have to do there.
Gotcha.
But overall, I would rather them know that we're looking for solutions and we're trying to find the right fit than not.
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking about is like there's no you mentioned this earlier in the conversation when it comes to vendors pitching you on solutions you don't have the problems for, if that makes sense. And so I don't know, like in government contracting, for example, and I remember in corporate, they used to put out these RFPs. So they'd say, hey, we're trying to solve this problem. All the vendors in the space come in, pitch us, and there'd be like this like bake off, right? I don't think that happens in mortgage. It's very much like the vendor is like, hey, I think they have this problem. I'm going to pitch them on this solution. And then you spray and pray, or you talk to as many people as possible, and then you kind of like surface like who's actually got that problem. And so there's a little bit of like this like vagueness, or the market's a little opaque in that sense. So there's no like clarity of like, hey, this lender over here is actually solving this problem or has this problem and needs it solved. So then you can kind of like work directly there. So I don't know, maybe that's a feature, not a bug. So
maybe. I will say that, and I know that we're running out of time here, but that could be a topic for another podcast, is, how all of these innovations are going to disrupt that entirely, because like the landscape is going to shift. So all these little bolt-on things, eventually there's not going to be a need for that. So that's a whole different discussion for a different day.
Yeah, you just like dropped the bomb right there at the end.
That means we got to have her back. I mean, our first lender will be the first repeat.
I'll be a recall. Just kidding.
We had Brian.
Chris, you want to hit it off with the next question?
Oh, no, I think
the next guest?
Before I ask that one, I have one question I wanted to ask, as you were what is the biggest regret? What is the biggest regretful technology? You don't have to shout out the actual vendor, but what is one of the biggest you that burn in your head that as soon as I said it, you're like, oh, I remember regretting that?
It's pretty fresh, so I almost don't want to say it, because like if this is on air, they're gonna know that I'm talking about them. So I don't really want to say that.
Oh man, it's good. I'll call you after.
Yeah. There's a couple, and honestly, there's some of them are just like, I told you what my biggest pain points were, and you told me you could meet them. And then after implementation, you're like, oh, well, that takes additional professional services or blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, yeah, we can talk about that. That's a separate one.
That's our next episode.
I learned so much.
Okay, so next week's guest is Lori Kraus from Tidal Wave. Give us your question for her.
So I didn't really format this very well, but basically one of the things that I've been thinking about, and I think Tidal Wave's an interesting, group to ask about this, is if you could sit in front of, well, we don't really have the CFPB. I mean, we do, but we don't, but if you could sit in front of somebody who has control over the regulations, and you could basically say, I want you to either change this regulation or repeal it so that we can actually modernize the mortgage process.
Okay, I like that.
What would it be?
That's a good one. I think we should have Becky as a co-host. We haven't done that yet. Let's next time Andrew backs out, which seems to be a few times every couple months. I hope he's listening. We'll just be like, Becky's gonna shoe in as a guest or as a co-host.
It's fun. Yeah, no, that's actually something I've been thinking about. I'm like, because people talk about how mortgage is so protected because of the regulation and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, but what if it wasn't?
Yeah, and I also get so frustrated with that. And I'm like, what was the last regulation that took place, ding dong? And like, oh, well, TRID. I'm like, that was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop telling me that your regulation costs keep going up. All right. Well, thank you, Becky Hale, our first lender and our first co-host upcoming.
You got it. This was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys.